Wonderful. So good to be back here with each and every one of you. I'm really excited about this afternoon's Divine Mirror session. I'm excited about all of them, but this one feels really like this, that kind of nervous excitement, like, ooh, something really good is coming from this experience. So I hope you guys can feel that. And we're going to bring on, we were talking about her earlier this morning, and now we get to witness her, hear from her, and experience her directly. Let me add the spotlight here. We've got Erica VanEaton. Erica VanEaton is a channel. She is a spiritual guide and a healer. She teaches others how to reweave their foundational structure to curate new realities and expand their gifts. Her oldest son was born with Down syndrome and autism and guided her through restructuring their own energy matrices to become a new kind of human. And through reimagining the roles of the human vessel, she learned how to create an internal, unified way of playing within the quantum field. Ooh, that sounds so exciting. Welcome, Erica. It's such a joy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I can feel the energy of your show, and it's very expansive, which is fun because that allows me to channel even deeper. So I'm excited to
Mm.
play with everyone. Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's an honor. It really is such an honor. I'm so glad that we were able to connect. I'm like moving the spotlights around. Sorry, you guys, if you're like, what is happening here? I like your image to be at the top so I can like look right there. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being feeling the intention of this experience and feeling my heart and the divine within the intention and being here to get to share with all of these amazing, beautiful beings, all of these wonderful souls that are like all of us on a journey of seeking and becoming and remembering and anchoring in every day even further into their truth. So I'm really excited for you guys to bear witness to what wants to come and unfold in our conversation here.
Yeah. And I just want to give everyone a heads up that I am a channel and I am a healer. So when I'm speaking this entire time, you're probably going to feel a lot of energy start to flow through. And if you want to receive, you can. You can just say yes. If you don't want to receive, it's okay because I might be new to you and you don't know who I am, and that's fine too. And you just say, no, thank you. And the energy will just collapse in. So, why don't we start? Because there is a lot of, I channel a council, and because there's a council, there's a lot of dimensional realms that I'm speaking from. I always ask to be the highest divine love and light that I can possibly be, that the energy that I can carry for the collective here. So one thing that we need to do, so if you want to embody the healing that's going to come through today, is really to ground, because there needs to be somewhere for this energy to go so that your nervous system relaxes, so that it doesn't shut you down, make you tired, make you go to sleep in order to receive it, so that we're nice and calm. And we can ground down into the earth, but we also need to learn how to ground into our own energy field. Because a lot of time when people ground into the earth, like whoop, I'll see them just leave their bodies and they go down into the earth instead of staying nice and centered. So just take a breath with me for a moment before we get into the big discussion, and imagine energy coming from your heart, moving down your legs, down the soles of your feet, down to the bottom of your energy field, which is about 18 inches to 3 feet underneath of you, what it looks like. And then you allow it to come up all around the sphere of light that you are, and allow it to come back down in through the top of your energy field, back down through your crown, back down into your heart space, and run that 3 times. And so this is you grounding into your own energy field. This does a couple of things. 1, it keeps you in your body. 2, it keeps you expanded. Actually, it does more than 2 things. We are putting your magnetic field in alignment with the Earth's magnetic field, and we're starting to release chemicals in your body that say, I trust myself and I'm safe. I do have a science background. I was a cardiac ultrasound technician in a hospital for over a decade, so I'm going to add in human physiology to our conversation today, along with the woo-woo. So grounding into your own body makes you feel safe. And this is the beginning of our conversation of self-consumption, the idea of self-consumption.
Mm.
Okay.
I think before we get into self-consumption, because I just want to jump right into it, but before we
Mhm.
do, I would love to just hear a little bit about whatever piece and part of your own personal story you feel called to share with us how you got here today, which is the purpose of the Divine Mirror sessions, more than, yes, beautiful wisdom disseminated and shared for the collective. And okay, now what can I do? But there's something really beautiful about getting to connect personally and see ourselves and you and your story. So I would love to hear, how did you get here doing this work and channeling and healing and working with the collective? What led
Thank
to
you.
this?
Yeah. It began 16, almost 17 years ago with the birth of my oldest son, who was born with Down syndrome and autism, like you mentioned earlier. When he was born, I was not spiritually awakened. I didn't understand energy. I was still very much in the medical world, Western medical world at the time. But when we didn't know he had Down syndrome until he was born, and my husband brought him over to me. And when he brought him over to me, my soul took my humanness aside, meaning my mind and my ego and my emotions. Everything went silent within me. And what I heard so clearly in my head was, "You know him." And I said his name. And when I said his name, he locked eyes with me. Now, if any of you have ever been around a newborn before, you know that their eyes are not open. They're usually crying and scrunched. But he looked directly at me, and it was a transmission at that point. And I heard him say, "I know you too." But it wasn't just what I heard, it's what echoed through my whole body. It reverberated this divine love, something that I'd never felt before, went completely through my body. And that created a memory for me to hold on to, because after that 2 minutes was over, my human aspects came back in and grief started to come in as I recognized like this life that I thought we were going to have was no longer there. And I didn't have a foundation for what that looked like. And so this happens to us all when you have a preconceived notion of what life is going to be like, what it means to be a daughter, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a father, a son, or a parent, or whatever the label is. You have an idea of what that is. But when that gets shattered, your mind has nowhere to go. Your body has nowhere to go because there's no information stored in your neurological system that can hold you at that point in time because there's nothing there. And this has happened to us all. These are like life death cycles that we all go through. So this was a major life death cycle that I was going through. When he was about 3 months old, he started coming into my dream state because he was trying to connect with his physical body, but he couldn't. He wasn't centered in his body. I was receiving downloads all the time. And now, what's so exciting for me, just to get a little bit off topic, is that the podcast telepathy tapes, if you've ever heard of it, is getting huge. And it's finally talking about all this stuff that I've been talking about for 6 years. I'm like, yes. But he was communicating telepathically with me, but I didn't know he was doing that. And I was a really open receiver to it because I was a first time mom. I didn't know that that wasn't normal. So I was receiving this information and I just knew how to interact with him. I knew that I couldn't have the TV on when I was wanting to rock and connect with him. I couldn't have the radio on. I couldn't talk to him with too many words, too many sentences. And I could not process my emotions in front of him because he could feel all of it and I just knew it. And so I would run miles and miles with a really good friend that lived really close to me at night, and she would just let me vent and pour out everything that I was scared about or all the emotions that I was working through. And then it would just drain me and I'd come back and I'd be able to just be really present with him. And so I was beginning to understand these things, and I was working in the hospital at the same time. And I was watching how it made me think about things. So it made me witness how a person's internal emotional state affected their heart function because I was seeing it in real time. And if I would just have them breathe and calm down, because I was thinking about my runs, if I just had them breathe and calm down, their heart rhythm would become more coherent and I could get better quality images. And then around this time, he started coming into my dream state, and he would show himself doing something that he couldn't yet do in the physical world that we were working on in physical therapy because he couldn't connect to that his bodies. Things like just rolling over or rolling to sitting sitting to crawling, things like that. And in these dreams, they would be so full of vivid color and imagery and emotion, so much positive feeling emotion. And those emotions would stick with me. It's like those vivid dreams, when you wake up in the morning and you can still remember exactly that dream. And it would stick with me throughout the week. Actually, for a couple of weeks, I would remember it, and those emotions would play through my body. Well, what he was doing, unbeknownst to me, was teaching me how to build a memory form in the energy field. I was being a bridge for him. So I was carrying the emotions that he couldn't yet feel. And because I was vibrating those, we are all radio towers. I was sending out these signals, and he was picking up on them over and over again and able to embody them. And once he became attuned to the memory that I had built in the energy field, then he just stepped in and he did it perfectly. It would be within like 2 to 3, sometimes 4 weeks time, that he would just do it exactly like I saw in my dream. And I would feel the same flood of emotions come through me. So he was teaching me how to play in the quantum field. He was teaching me, how emotions worked. And I wasn't awake through any of it. It wasn't until he started school. My biggest fear when he started preschool was that his teacher wasn't going to know his brilliance like I knew it. Because we had such a strong connection, he could sight read over 100 words by the time he was 1. And people with Down syndrome, any normal baby's not really supposed to be able to do that. But he could do these things. He knew colors, he knew shapes, all because of this telepathic communication. I just knew how to connect with him. So my greatest fear, though, when he started school was that his teacher wasn't going to see him as that. She was going to see him as a diagnosis. And because that was my strongest vibration that I was putting out ahead of us, ahead of our experience, of course, that's what I drew into her life. There was no opportunity for anything else to even occur. So I pulled this teacher into our lives that just saw him as a diagnosis. And so he felt such a strong disconnect and disharmonic experience at school that he completely shut down. And when he shut down, we lost our communication, but I didn't know what we lost because I didn't know what it was, because I didn't understand energy yet. So fast forward through some more life experiences, I started heading down the path of depression. So I started breathing deeply, and that deep breath gave me space because it cut off the chemical production of the shame that was constantly running through my head, the insecurities, the fear, the guilt, the negative thoughts and feelings. It's a loop. It's a neurological loop, and it's a physiological loop. It's in regards to hormones. And so deep breath work allowed for space to cut the loop of chemical production. And the more I got better at breathing deeply, the more space between these negative feelings lasted. And it was in that space that I created for myself that allowed for his soul to come in during those moments. And I could feel this beautiful presence that I had never felt before. And then I started downloading information on what he needed from me to come into his own body, because he wasn't going to come into his body until I healed mine. He was taking me through an internal unification process of unifying the ego, the mind, the body, and the soul, bringing them all into coherence together to work as a unified force for the greatest expression of soul that I can be. And so when I started to learn how to do that, then he started to spiral down the DNA spiral of life. We spiraled down through the chakra system. Then he was able to root into his root and anchor in and come down through that and really start to connect with his body at that point. So it's been a long journey, and I can't say it happened like in a linear fashion because I wasn't ready to learn in a linear fashion. But it's been quite an experience.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I can imagine, and what a gift this experience of this child that you got to recognize and realize later. And I love the perspective that you now have, and like looking back at where you were and how not fully aware of what was taking place, but from the moment that he entered into your world, consistently serving, supporting, and I didn't fully understand what your bio meant. And now having this clarity, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. How profound. What a profound experience.
Yeah. And to be able to communicate with him that way, I really had to do a lot of work to raise my frequency
Mm.
because these souls on the spectrum, most of us incarnate on a few rays of light. Well, they're incarnating on the entire spectrum of light. And think about the kind of frequency that a soul has to have in order to come down on every color of the rainbow. That's
Mm.
a lot. It's a very big frequency. So that's what really opened up my channeling, because if I could connect with him, this soul that's expanded on every level, then it opened up my ability to channel councils, ascended masters, and everything else.
Which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And now, for the last, I think you shared 5 years, as you said, not necessarily on the plan. I don't know if any of this was really written in your childhood plan. Soul level, yeah, absolutely. But so
Yeah.
when did the councils and all of these, beautiful beings start coming in, and how did you then show up, and what was that journey like, and allowing yourself to be seen as a channel?
It took a hot minute. The first council that came in was a Pleiadian council of light. And I was barely waking up when that happened. And they were really teaching me how to attune to my son. They were teaching me, they were helping guide me to understand him more fully. And they would come in at night. I would feel them. And I just began to ask a lot of questions. And I still do to this day. I wake up in the morning, or I go into meditation, or I come into a beautiful atmosphere like this with the understanding, like, I really know nothing. And if I don't, compared to what our highest self, what source, what, all these councils understand that are continually seeing multidimensionally all the time, if I come into it with that, then it allows me to be an open channel, because my ego isn't scared to then allow it in, as long as the vibrations that are coming in, the frequencies that are coming in, are very harmonic. Are these going to expand my source energy codes? And that's really what I learned from him when he showed me the DNA spiral of life, because he was showing me how so many of us start to spiral down into the body. And a lot of us do this, but specifically those on the spectrum, when they hit the consumer chakras, which are your lower three chakras, your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root chakra, they consume energy to give you life, to create in the womb, to produce a baby, to digest food. And so they're continually taking in information. And as we're growing up, a lot of our lower three chakras are consuming external information all the time, looking for validation or looking for identity outside of ourselves. And when we do that, it bogs down those lower three energy centers, and they start to slow down. So when they start to slow down and the soul is trying to spiral down through the chakra system, it bounces out and it comes in sideways. And so they're not able to connect with emotion. They're not able to connect with their bodies because it's not fast enough. So he was teaching me how to heal and upgrade my own root chakra to open up the base of the spiral of life. When you think about the spiral of life, it's like a strand of DNA. We know that if you hit DNA with negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions, it naturally coils to protect itself. And then codes of vitality turn on and disease states start. So the same thing happens with your DNA spiral of life. You come down on these rays of light, but only a few of them can shine when the bottom is so tight to try to fit into those lower energy centers. So one of the first thing he was doing was having me unwind my root chakra so that I could open up my DNA spiral of life. And at that point, that's when my gifts really turned on, because it's just like your DNA, more of your rays of light incorporate. That's when channeling turned on, because there was space for it, because there was room for it. I could handle the energy of it and have access to it.
I really appreciate this so much, because what you're sharing and speaking to is the energetics of safety, which we find in the root, and the importance of embodiment and somatic work and nervous system regulation. I mean, all the things that we've been doing now for 7, 8 days, because we're, I think, now realizing just how healing is in and through the body, or safety is in and through the body. Everything that we desire is will be and can be found when we go within the body, which I love, because again, ascension, we think ascension, up and out, and yet it really is about going deep within.
It is. And so we take that a step further. Like, so we're like, okay, well, I know I need internal unification. I know I need to feel and connect and feel safe in my body, but how do we actually do that? And so the next step that he was showing me was, and what actually propelled my work forward was, we went to a pool party, and it just had moved to Texas, and I didn't know anybody, and we got invited to this pool party. So I took the kids and we went, and something felt off. So I went and checked on him, and his features had completely shut down. He couldn't really communicate. He couldn't express. And I was like, okay, we got to go. Gathered the kids up, get him back in the car to leave. And as soon as we leave that environment, everything shifted back up and he started communicating again. So that night I put them to bed and I asked for his soul to come forward. And his soul showed me, he's like, I just wanted to remind you how much other people's energy affected me. There was a kid there that was making fun of him, that was demeaning him because he had Down syndrome. And he's like, I'm ready to help people heal. And I'm like, I'm bawling. I'm like, okay, fine, we're going to do this. And then 2 days later, a woman, my husband's a pharmacist, a woman walked into my husband's pharmacy, and she had a son with autism. And she said, I don't know if you're going to understand this, but the doctor ordered this medication and I'm really scared and I don't know if I want to do it. And he just said really calmly, I understand. We have a son and my wife does energy work on him. And he'd never said that out loud before. He is not, no, nothing like me.
He left the woo woo.
Yeah. His spirituality is outside fishing. So he had never shared that out loud before, but he shared it with her. And then things spiraled from there. She was like, wow, I've been looking for someone. And then she invited me to come speak at an autism network meeting. And so it was that instant of people's energy affects everyone. It's just so visible with him. And so that was the beginning of being like, okay, well, what do we do with the negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions? Because we're human, we're all going to have them. How do we utilize them? And so that's when the council really came in and started diving into the idea of self-consumption. And I really said we need a different word for that because people are thinking of cannibalism. But they're like, nah, it's your energy. So you take your energy, whatever you're feeling, whatever negative thoughts or whatever negative emotions you're having, a lot of times they originate in the root. So you're breathing those in and you're just accepting them and you're breathing them. And if you deep breathe while you're feeling something negative, it's keeping the nervous system calm. You're not making yourself wrong for feeling what you're feeling. You're beginning to trust yourself. You're trusting what you're feeling. And within 90 seconds, if you do that, the chemicals are going to be flushed through your system. It only takes about 90 seconds for those chemicals to be flushed. So then you just have this free particle energy that you move up into the heart space where there's divine love. Every emotion that we have, even hatred and anger, still arise from divine love. That's the core of it. They're just deviations of it. So we bring that information up through the chakra system back into the heart center. And you're having each nerve plexus that resides in each one of those chakras communicating now coherently in a calm manner, saying, I trust myself, I love myself. So by the time you get this energy up to your heart space, your heart opens, your magnetic field is snapped back into place, and then you're sending coherent messages from your heart up to your brain that's saying, I trust myself, I love myself, which is going to open up space for more clarity, a bigger perspective shift so that you can understand things from different angles and you start to have better feeling thoughts and you trust yourself. So it becomes this whole process of not trying to eliminate any part of being human, but it's this self-acceptance. I'm going to consume my own energy. I'm going to consume my own emotions instead of letting them project out into the world around me. that puts you in a really coherent space. And if you're self-consuming in this really coherent space, you're sharing coherency with everyone else in the room, and you're allowing them to have their own emotions, their own thoughts, their own perceptions. And when we're in that space, like we are in right now, you have your own perception, I have mine, but we're co-creating together. So that's unity consciousness, because it's beautiful. It's love. It's love for ourselves, and it's love and appreciation for the person next to you, because you're not trying to change their mind or have them validate you or you validate them or any of that. It's just being present.
I love what visual I received from your description, and I can understand the consumption aspect, because I think that word in of itself, from the spiritual place, we're like overconsumption. We don't want to consume anymore. We want
Yeah.
to create. But what you just described as alchemy in and of itself,
Mm.
and so many ways, I've been saying this too, there's this desire to like just get rid of, get rid of, yet we lose the beautiful value of getting to alchemize and embody and expand and utilizing. And so I really love what you've shared, and you've kind of pieced and clicked some things together for me, and I pray some of you guys here as well.
I
So
think you just touched on something really
yeah.
important when you're like, get rid of, get rid of, get rid of. What do you fill up with then? Then you're still trying to bring something in from outside of you in, which creates a greater illusion of separation.
Mm.
So when people are, even when people are channeling or people are wanting to connect to their highest self, they're like we said at the beginning, looking up. They're trying to bring something else in instead of being. If I am channeling the council, I am being the council. I am being the frequency. I am matching the frequency that they are, and I'm bringing that energy through with you as you to play. That's all we're doing here is we're just playing, and we're just learning how to be human. We're just learning how to connect and express the source that I am, that you are. And the only way to do that is through self-consumption and self-acceptance and self-trust, because that totally rewires your subconscious belief systems. That's going to rewire your nervous system to fall in love with and want to promote the idea of the I am, your codes of light. So, yeah, it's fun.
So, as like a breakdown of the practice itself, what you found and what you were doing was noticing first. I think there's a level of safety that needs to happen for us to even notice when we're
Mhm.
feeling dysregulated, when we have an emotion that's bubbling up, and allowing through breath to just breathe into it 90 seconds or however long one needs, without rejecting the emotion, suppressing the emotion, and then as it becomes neutral, is kind of what you had said, then this active invitation of it to move into the heart, is that kind of that's
Yeah.
the practice, an emotional alchemy practice, if you will, self-consumption practice.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And, when you're taking a deep breath, when you're consciously taking a deep breath, naturally you draw all your energy back in, because energy flows where attention goes. So if I'm thinking about the breath coming in and just taking a little bit more time to breathe, then I'm naturally going to bring my energy back home to myself. So that's step one. Um, Everything begins with the breath. That's why every practice in the world is like breath.
Which tickles me, because the speaker after you, Christabel Zamor, created Breath of Bliss. So she will be guiding us through a breathing experience today, and channeling. She also, I received an email, and she was like, also down to talk about channeling. I'm like, do you guys, there's this co-creative energy where I don't intentionally pick the speakers and on who's meant to go together, but there's this synergy that just
Yep.
happened to be perfect, absolutely perfect. So I,
Yeah.
mm,
How much time do we have?
we have about 15 minutes.
Okay. We can take everyone through a practice if they
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. This group likes practices.
Okay.
They like the doing.
All right. And then I don't know if they do live callers, but we can do that too.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's practice first. Close your eyes. When you close your eyes, you're shutting off light through the optic nerve. When you shut that light off, it brings your energy back into your pineal gland, which starts releasing hormones, feel good hormones. Couple that with a slower inhale, and don't try to force the breath all the way down. You just allow it to land where it wants to land. Again, we're building trust with the body. If you cannot get your breath past your lungs and you're trying to get it into your belly and trying to force it, we are not co-creating with the body. We're trying to direct the body, but we want to form trust with body. So let your breath come in and land where it wants to land, and then hold it just a little bit longer than you normally would. And you can allow it then to release. And with the next inhale, maybe this inhale you can take in just a little bit deeper, hold just a little bit longer. Exhale just a little bit slower. We are actually going to go into a full-on activation. So I want you to bring your awareness down into your root, and I'm going to start spinning energy through you and all around you to just kind of clean up the collective debris that are pretty sticky at the moment. Whatever you feel, whatever you've been thinking about, allow yourself to just become aware of them and place them in your root. We're going to start spinning this a little faster. There's a lot of collective debris kind of hanging out on the outer fields of many of you. And anytime you listen to the replay, it just goes a little bit deeper each time. But notice by whatever you feel, there's a few of you that are feeling a little insignificant. Allow yourself to feel it. It's human. Everyone on the planet has felt that at some time. Allow that now, utilizing the breath, to begin to move up into the sacral. Good. Allow that to pull up now into the solar plexus. Continuing to breathe deeper, and you'll notice that as it moves up, it's just getting just a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter. Continue breathing it up into the heart space. Now just see, sense, know, imagine, or pretend. If you can't feel, it's okay. Light in your heart that's growing bigger. We're creating coherence between every nerve plexus in your body right now. You're creating self-trust. Just keep breathing deeply. You might feel energy zip up your spine as I'm clearing your spinal columns. We take in a lot of information in the back of our energy field. They're just having me unlace your backs, cleaning it up. With that sphere of light in your heart, imagine it getting bigger. Good. We're going to open your crown. I'm going to bring you up into the clouds, connecting you up. We're connecting your North Pole to the Earth's North Pole, and we're going to connect your light into the crystalline grid that resides outside of the Earth. We're just expanding your field, giving you alignment. Perfect. Now we're going to take the base of your energy field, we're going to expand it down through the core of the earth to the South Pole. We're going to connect it into the crystalline core inside of the earth. Because of the energies right now on the earth, I mean, we've got moons, we've got political things, we got wars, there's just a lot moving. And it's kind of tilting a lot of your magnetic fields crooked. So your North Pole, you have a North Pole and you have a South Pole. A lot of your North Poles aren't quite lined up with the Earth's North Pole. So I'm just realigning, so you might feel a little shifting. I imagine if some of you have done muscle testing, it hasn't quite been working. And it's mainly because the magnetic fields are a little messy. So I'm just going to clean that up for you guys. Everything just flows smoother when these are lined up. Now take a big breath in your heart, and we're going to expand your spirit bigger than your body. And take it bigger than the room you're in. Make it bigger than the country you're in, above you, below you, and all around you. Good. Now take it outside the planet. Make it bigger than the planet. Go outside the moon. Good. Now I just want you to feel the space between you and the moon. I want you to feel into the space between you and the wall behind you. We're diverting your focus, which slows the brain waves down. I want you to feel the space between your right side and the right wall, the left side and the left wall. Now I want you to imagine you're on the moon. You're standing on the moon, but you're also noticing your body back here. When we self-consume, when we bring our energy back home, there's so many more ways that we can play. You can work on bilocating your awareness. You can work on parallel realities, folding into different realities. You can work on connecting with different alien suits that you're in, that your soul is in, residing at the same time as you're here on Earth. The idea is to stay calm, keeping the mind in a slower brainwave state to relax, to the idea of more. We're releasing the boxes and the constrictions and the labels and the codependencies that we've had on our identity here, so that we can step into a new way of being, stepping into a new way of being with self, of co-creating with others, a different kind of earth. But if we do all that without expanding, without creating space for energy to go, the nervous system is going to get overloaded and the brain's going to shut down and fight you. This way, we are nice and relaxed. We're in a safe space. We've built a space of trust through chemicals by bringing coherence from the root up to the heart, and then expanding the heart out, aligning the magnetic field with the Earth's magnetic field so that extra energy has room to move. You've expanded your perception and your perspective out by locating it. This gives you room to play, to rewire, to rewrite, to recode, to uncode. And when you're ready, you can start to come back into your heart space. And you can begin to open your eyes and wiggle your toes, but try to stay expanded at the same time. And how did that feel? This is how we play.
I couldn't help but smile multiple times as you guys share in the chat how you feel. Did you feel the shift? Did you feel how was it to a train of energy yawns? I
Good.
was definitely one of the people you were mentioning where I could feel the realignment, where my alignment was a little tilted. So that was
Mhm.
really powerful. And then I couldn't help but smile because as we expanded, and then you talked about play, I was like, oh my gosh, we just created all this space, knowing that space is not empty. It is potential. It is the quantum fabric of reality. I was like, ooh, quantum leaps are possible in here. And so I could just feel the joy and levity of being in that expanded state and wanting to play within it.
Yes. And just the word play brings a lightness to it because healing can be such a freaking serious topic. And we get locked into it's got to be hard. We got to work through the hard stuff. Well, we need to lighten that up so that we can shift perspective. It doesn't, we're just playing here. Nobody knows what they're doing. So just come at it with that. We don't know what we're doing. We're just playing. Yeah.
I like to see instead of it being Earth School, because not everybody is as in love with school as I am. I love school, but instead we can see it as the Earth playground.
It is. It is a playground. When we look at it from a space of play, then we don't take ourselves so seriously. And if we don't take ourselves so seriously, then we actually can dig into core wounding issues without them overloading the nervous system. It relaxes us and it puts us more in the observer state so that we don't become absorbed by, but rather observe and become humored by our issues. And if we laugh about it, then we can rewire it a lot easier.
I've always heard that play and laughter is one of the great alchemizers. It is so quick and easy when you're going through and moving through something really heavy. And I know people who are really gifted at bringing that out, mentors, coaches,
Yeah.
healers, where they so beautifully they like bring it from the dense, the heavy into this levity where you're like, okay, this is where
Yeah.
the magic is.
It is where the magic is. And it's a whole lot more fun laughing than being really pissed off.
Right, right. We've already been through the experiences that were heavy,
We
hard, and
have.
difficult. If we
Yeah.
want to clear through them, let's now bring them up in a place of more expanded observation and love and levity and play, and let's perceive them differently this time around.
Yes. We're going to experience the hard stuff. You're going to be angry sometimes. You're going to feel guilt and shame sometimes. So let yourself feel it, breathe through it, bring it back up, and then laugh at your stuff. Expand. But you can feel, you can't actually reach that play state. You can't reach that joy, that playfulness, if you can't get to an expanded state. And you can't get to an expanded state if you're rejecting something of yourself. So,
I just dropped into the chat all of the ways and places and spaces where you guys can go and connect with Erica, get into her world, website, Instagram, YouTube. She's got a free gift, 8 light language journey activations. And what is lighting you up most these days? What is really exciting for you?
well, I'm getting ready to teach a course, Releasing Codependency, and it's going to be a deep dive into kind of the topic that we talked about today, but we're going to be rewiring the subtle bodies, working deep within the chakras, working deep within the neurological system to root out, rewire, so that we really can come home. I think people think about codependency as like, we think about it as people, but it's not just people. We're codependent on places, we're codependent on things, because there's a feedback loop that we're continually receiving from everything in our environment. So if we really want to come home, and if we really want to step into a new, more expanded version of self as source, then we need to stop the feedback loops externally and looking, instead of like looking for identity out somewhere else, self-consume and releasing that. So that begins March 17th. And then I have a bunch of meditation series where we do that. We journey and play. My meditations are very different. They're kind of like today. I don't quite know where we're going to go, but we go and we play and we expand and we explore all the different ways, because there's no one way that of healing that works for everybody. So
Any intentions for in-person work in the future? Is online just feel really good? I know you have people from all over the world that get to tune into your work because of the online space.
for right now, it's just online. I've got 3 kids playing sports all over the place. So we are going continually. So not just right now, but someday, yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so incredibly much for your holy heaven, yes, and being a part of this experience, and for the opportunity to get to connect with you in this way. And you guys, let's send Erica off with so much love and appreciation and gratitude. And there's all sorts of beautiful comments about what people experience, the expansion, even the playfulness and the playground and having the space. So I love this comment. It's the one that my eyes gravitated towards. She goes, I don't even know what happened, but it felt crazy and good.
That might be my favorite too.
That's amazing. It felt crazy with 2 Y's too. Crazy and good. She said, my face is vibrating.
Probably, yeah.
I love that. That's amazing. Oh, so
Well,
sweet.
thank you. Thank
You.
you for letting me play. Thanks for everyone for
You.
trusting to play with me, because how you show up with me matters to how deeply I can show up for you. So I felt it. I'm filled with gratitude always. When you heal, we all heal, and the ripple effect is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So, so infinitely grateful for you. Oh, you guys, what a beautiful first session. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Oh, yeah, I can just see the smiles. Y'all all look shinier. You look sparklier. You look more radiant. Let me scroll on over here, trying to find our dear sister. I might have to look at the view, a full gallery view. Let's find Christabel. There she is. I see you. Awesome. Add spotlight. I'm gonna do my little dance. We're gonna remove my spotlight, add it again, so that way I can be, there we go, at the bottom. Oh, hi, radiant being. It's so good to be here with you.
Aloha, sister. It's good to be here with you too, and your beautiful community, the I Am universe.
The I
Thank
am
you.
universe. I love that. We've got an incredible, beautiful audience here with us, and so many people from around the world catching the replays in their own perfect divine timing. We've been on a journey together, and everybody is deeply and profoundly excited for our time together. I've been trickle dripping and sharing with them that you're going to be coming on and sharing Breath of Bliss and guiding us through an experience. So before we get into that, I will read your bio for those that are not familiar with Christabel Zamor and her body of work. She is the creator of Breath of Bliss, which is a euphoric breathing practice to access states of oneness. She offers 300-hour certification programs and has trained over 1,000 facilitators worldwide. You've got Breath of Bliss angels everywhere. And she has guided groups of up to 500, which is amazing. You can imagine what it's like to have 5 people in a breathwork journey at festivals and conferences. She did research with Zen Brain Lab to highlight the cognitive benefits of her brain boosting breath audios. She's produced global events like Breathfest, Blissfest, and has even appeared on Dr. Oz, Live with Regis and Kelly, Time, Prevention, so much more. She's had an incredible many years of sharing her body of work, and she's even been featured on Mindvalley as an author. And she holds dual master's degrees in depth psychology, cultural anthropology, blending science and spirituality in her work and her teachings as a coach, a speaker, and a trainer. You are just a multidimensional, multifaceted being with so many areas of expertise, and it really is such an honor to have you join this container, this I am activation experience. And I'm excited for everyone to get to, I mean, what better? Here's an event designed to remind each of us that we are divine, we are connected to the divine, we are one with God, we are one with source, but also to have a relationship with ourselves as divine within and without. And here you have curated and developed a modality with breathing to do just that.
Yeah. Well, first I just got to say about the laundry list of qualifications, like none of that, you and I know none of that really matters. The truth is we're here just to be present with each other, and we're here to breathe beyond the illusions and to let go of the surface mind and to really touch into something beyond the mind. So a lot of that has to do with the mind, those qualifications. But really, the heart of Breath of Bliss is about bypassing all the habitual thought patterns, all of the identifications, all of the attachments, all of the focusing on the past and all the hyperfixation on the future. How can we use breath, movement, and sound as spiritual practitioners to have a revelation of aliveness in the present moment? That's what we're here to do. And that's what I'm excited to share with your people.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. And you're so right. I think there's they often say the masculine part of the brain wants to know the qualifications. They wants to understand, where are you coming from? What is your background? But the beauty is that the feminine, the feeling, and you guys, not only we're going to talk a little bit about it, but you can already feel the intention that she has and that she embodies. And then you're going to get to experience it as well, which is amazing. How did you get here though? Like, what led you to your breathing journey? Was it something, has breath always been a part of your life? And
no, I had no agenda. As with most of my life, I allowed synchronicity and spontaneous miracles to guide me in unexpected plot twists and new directions. So I was actually in a light body activation training when my trainer surprised us with a breath experience. I had no idea what to expect, which is great. So I didn't have any preconceived notions. And what happened for me at that time, I was in a very misaligned marriage at that moment. And I was chronically overworking. I was super type A. I was doing what I loved, but it wasn't in balance. And when I laid down and started doing this open mouth connected breathing practice, I started feeling my heart in a way that I had not felt in a very long time. And I started feeling tears wanting to come out of my eyes. And I started sensing this feeling of unconditional love for me from something so much bigger than I had ever given myself. And that escalated during the experience. The more I breathed, I just started sobbing and just feeling this source of radiant, I'll say super abundant, because I know that's the theme of the day for you. This omnipresent, caring, affectionate, unconditional love that just felt like pure God. And so, yeah, after I had that experience and I saw, angels, and I had ascended masters and a whole download, I realized, wow, this is work I really need to do. This is clearing away. It's like 100 years of therapy in 1 hour. And because of that ignition, I left my marriage. I designed an entire paradise lifestyle. I moved to Bali for 12 years. Like I started creating trainings. Like it just really catapulted me into my life's work. And that's why I love this so much for people like your people on the call, all of you beautiful souls, because so many of us have these aspirations to be of service and these heartfelt longings to be on purpose, but maybe lack clarity and specificity about those next steps. And this practice, when you enter it with intentionality and a focus on visioning what's coming next, and when you approach it from a very spiritual practitioner orientation, which means we enter the space with the assumption that we're already whole. There's nothing here broken that we're here to fix. We're not here to repair something that is inherently wrong with us. That in and of itself is already fundamentally turning on its head a lifetime of conditioning many of us have had to look for problems everywhere we are, to seek the suffering as a sign of growth, right? Like we've just been indoctrinated by so much misinformation. So when we enter a space that is prayerfully set up for the highest possible outcome, that's affirming your inherent goodness, well-being, vitality, radiance, beauty, goodness, all the things, and then open to a psychedelic state, and miracles, very specific next steps. People have visions sometimes of people who've crossed over, angels, guides, all kinds of things. And they can pop out the other side like I did with a blueprint, basically just write down, all right, this is what needs to happen next. And if you have the courage to really do it, your whole life can change. So
what I love and what you just shared was you shared I hear often about breath as a form of healing, and you had said an hour or years of therapy in 1 hour. And so there's the cathartic aspect. And then you also shared about the expansion aspect, the downloads, the clarity that breath all and these journeys and these practices also offer, which I think is really beautiful, because we don't, or at least I don't often hear about that piece of breath.
Yeah. And that's why I so emphasize it. We call it breath of bliss as opposed to breath work, because implicit in the name work is a whole host of assumptions about our need to effort, push, and exert intense, effort to create something that's going to fix us or change us. And it's a very masculine, there's a lot of masculine energy in the breath world and a lot of reparative energy. And so when we enter it as a prayer practice, it just reorients it. Breath of Bliss comes about it as, how can we have a revelation beyond the surface mind? How can we see from the mind of God? How can we tap into the unified field and have a direct somatic, not an intellectual idea of this stuff, but like literally feeling it so deeply in your bones that it inspires you to step into your spiritual authority and finally take ownership of your purpose and your message and do the thing, whatever the thing is for you. Right. So
which is amazing and absolutely incredible. And you touched on the open mouth, and I would love for you to share a little bit about that. Yeah. Some people may have experience with breath work or not. What is the mechanism and how does the open mouth support this particular experience?
Absolutely. So before we get to the open mouth, I want to give a little foundational support for that. So part of what makes Breath of Bliss so unique is that it's a ceremony. Unlike some breath modalities that are saying, okay, lie down, open your mouth or do whatever and start breathing, we have a whole suite or buffet of these somatic, emotional, spiritual practices we do way before we even lie down and open our mouth, with intention setting and heart opening, ecstatic dance, affirmative prayer, and many other things. So by the time people are ready, this is what happens. We open the mouth, and when you breathe open mouth, connected breath without any pause, what can happen is the subtle microdose of dimethyltryptamine, which I'm sure you know is the active ingredient in ayahuasca and LSD and so forth. And it was Stanislav Grof, the founder of transpersonal psychology and the creator of holotropic breathwork, who some of you might know already. That's an older modality that had a lot of efforting, a lot of pushing, breathing for hours at a time. His scientific research, when the LSD was outlawed and he had to cease and desist his university research, he decided to see, does open mouth connected breath do the same thing to the brain. And indeed, he discovered it does the same thing when you're sustaining it. It's not as intense as dropping, LSD, but it does predispose your pineal pituitary to microdose this DMT. And what happens is and everyone listening, I know this is a little techie, but if you take your hands and tap the back of your head to get a sense of your skull, right? So in the back of your skull is the amygdala. And we all know the amygdala is what holds those unmetabolized wounds and maybe foggy memories from childhood that we didn't have the capacity to metabolize correctly. That part of the brain starts connecting with, and if you touch the side of your head above your ears and imagine a line going to the center of your head, that starts communicating with the insula in the center of your brain, which is the emotional processing center. So all of a sudden, anything from, any part of your life that you did not have the nervous system capacity to metabolize, it starts unraveling. And you can start, that's why people can have profound emotional release in this practice, things they've stored up, suppressed, or didn't even know how to identify. And then the insula, and we can tap our forehead, starts communicating with the prefrontal cortex, which is our higher self. It's the processing center of meaning. It's how we create meaning. So all of a sudden, you can rewrite the script of your life. You can use your higher self to make new meaning out of previously incomprehensible, overwhelming, traumatizing experiences you may have had, and rewrite the script in a way that's empowering and meaningful. So it's a really powerful modality.
I am so glad that you brought forward the piece around why the emotions, because I think so many of us are curious, like, why am I crying so much? I don't even know what this is from or what this is for, because we may not receive visions or really understand what the emotion is. But breathwork does have a tendency to bring up unfelt, unprocessed emotion. And now we understand even the how of why that happens. And also, as you were sharing, because we've talked quite a bit about the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, I saw this practice as a means to quite literally shrink the amygdala and grow the prefrontal cortex. That's what I was witnessing. And when we were talking about it, was like a shrinking of the amygdala and like a lighting up of the prefrontal cortex. So in other words, like a retraining of your brain's natural pathways or natural tendencies of operation, which is absolutely credible. And what you were sharing too makes so much sense. The clarity that you receive, because the clarity really comes from our problem solving within the prefrontal cortex. So this is just problem oriented. This is solution oriented. So of course it would make sense that all of a sudden, like, you have access to the quantum fabric of reality and these solutions just start downloading. You're like, oh, that's the next steps.
Yeah. There's this. So yeah, you're completely on it, Lacey, because when we go beyond the surface mind altogether, there's no problems or solutions. There's just infinity. And again, I come back to your theme of the day of superabundance. I think that's the theme of today, right?
So it is.
This overflowing vitality, well-being, creativity, innovation, energy, all of this the self-sustaining field, right? The coherent in perpetuity field of source consciousness. You can tap into that, and people habitually experience that description. They call it, I felt at one. I felt love, overflowing love, connection. Some people even say it was like more powerful than ayahuasca for some people. They tap in such a short amount of time into this feeling of connection to everything and all their own parts they've ever rejected, and like an instantaneous, almost like life review rapidity of like the capacity to see everywhere in your life you've rejected, judged, criticized, others, yourself, anything. And it's like this instant capacity to come into right relationship and to let go. And in the way that I imagine we may at the end of our lives, right? When that rapid life review moment where we can see the totality and how it all makes sense. So.
And I makes so much sense too, that it could be more powerful than a substance, even though plant substances, they're meant to just teach us and remind us of what is accessible to ourselves. So I just feel like it's so empowering to know that you can have that experience, the ineffable, melding into oneness with God simply through the technology of our own body.
Yeah, absolutely. I often call air plant medicine because literally, like for all of you who might be sitting in front of a window, I have lots of windows here. Like the air, oxygen is expelled. It's the expiration of plants, right? So we may
I
not be
love that.
ingesting it through our mouth, but we are breathing in the essence of these plants that is stimulating that expansion of consciousness. And it is documented. This isn't just anecdotal evidence. When I did that research at Zen Brain Lab, I have these 4 psychedelic audio journeys, and we tested and found that using one audio journey for 10 days mimicked the results in terms of neurosynaptic rewiring of 6 months of meditation. So like there's real evidence that's coming out nowadays to really support people in exploring this.
It's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I don't love the term. I wish we could find another one. Biohacking. In a way, it's this like biohacking of the brain, the consciousness. But even then, the word hack, because it means to break into, and it's like, oh no, we want to bio support. Maybe that's the word that I want to use, like bio support, supporting the natural technology of our body to do what it knows how to do best.
Yeah, I love to use the word bioluminescence because it's like
Yeah.
we're like self-illuminating. We're like remembering the truth of who we are as these infinite beings of light and activating all of the dormant capacities, the cities we already have, the superabundance we already have in our bodies to instantly, shape shift molecules on a subatomic level within and around the body to experience the norm, what we hopefully the new normal of miracles, right? Like that's just the way of things. So
incredible. Absolutely incredible. Oh, Mike Curlin says, we are literally watching 2 angels have a conversation on Zoom. Sweet soul.
lots of beautiful messages in there.
That's so sweet. There was another thing you had mentioned, and maybe it's to be spoken after the journey, but I don't know what state of consciousness people will be after that journey and experience. So, should we talk a little bit about what you've got going on as it relates to your training and some of the things that you're offering right now?
Absolutely. I'd love to
Yeah.
share.
Yeah.
We're just starting right now in this golden moment, our next round of the Breath of Bliss facilitator training. And this is an extraordinary empowerment for people, probably people like watching this I am activation, healers, visionaries, guides, coaches, doctors, therapists who are mystics implicitly. Maybe they already have a whole medicine basket of tools, energy work, massage therapy, channeling, all the things, but maybe don't quite have a way to put it all together and share it in a coherent way, and also rise up in their income to the next level of abundance. And so in our training, we empower our breath facilitators as spiritual practitioners. So there's a lot of practice in the art of affirmative prayer. It's non-denominational, affirmative, life enhancing ways to take the power of your spoken word and to begin to curate the arrangement of the words you share, your body language, and implicitly how you create a collective nervous system with a group of people, and train them to a positive expectation, meaning like that they're by the time they get into the breath journey, they have the ability to elevate themselves up the frequency scale, potentially from shame and guilt and not enoughness and all those drama encoded frequencies up higher to, bliss and love and peace and all of those things. And we train our teachers how to facilitate like over 100 heart opening practices, how to guide 6 forms of ecstatic dance, do cacao ceremonies, and essentially how to curate music, design psychoacoustic landscapes, master the mixer and the voice so they can do online or live. And then how to really step up as these high frequency channels while they guide an hour-long psychedelic journey. And it's an artistry, right? And so it's really for people who see themselves thriving as a ceremonial artist, and like they get off, they really love playing with music and sound and light language and all the things. We do a lot of light language training. And then it also has a ton of business training. So we empower our trainees to be launching and monetizing while they're in the training, so they can avoid, waiting, right? Because that, and you probably know this, for so many incredible spiritually gifted practitioners, there can be this thought of like, I'm not ready, or I have to wait till this day that I feel like a master, or I'm, all these excuses we may all have. So there's as much mindset training in this as much as like the practical group dynamics and all the elements of designing events. So yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. We have an incredible group of people already gathered, of all ages, all the way up to 70 and down to like 24, I think, in years of age, and all different backgrounds. And there's such a profound alchemy that happens when we decide to rise into leadership, to value ourselves, to clarify a message, and then to like literally take the mic and practice in front of a group. And then you get feedback, and then you have to go to the next level, and then you start sharing, then you start making money. It's really an empowerment. So that's what's up.
That's awesome.
Facilitator training. Yeah.
It's amazing. And what I'm just really appreciating that you've turned this into not just a modality, but a ceremony. It is a very intentional, curated ceremonial experience from start to finish. And so you're facilitating breath work, I feel, as it should be, which is as a shamanic journey, creating that container for, the safety, the intentionality for what is to unfold. So this training is speaking to my heart too, because I consider myself a ceremonialist, and I've held so many different ceremonies, but I've never had formal training in some of the things. And so I think it's one of those, anybody listening to this that is feeling called and pulled and like, ooh, that sounds really interesting. Cacao, in addition to intentionality and divine decrees, I think you guys here as well, so much of that has been some of it's been what we've been working with, the divine decrees and speaking out loud, the power of our voice. So again, you've just taken all of, and I'm also noticing that many of our speakers, and I think that maybe that's the direction of the spiritual teachers, is it's taking a synthesis, taking all of these things that we found that work so well, and again, intentionally designing experiences that allow not just breath, but the heart opening of cacao, the intentionality of a divine decree and declaring the reality that you want to choose. So I think I think so many people here listening could really get excited about that. They're like, I'm not going to learn just breath work. I'm going to learn facilitation of transformational experiences.
Yes.
That's amazing.
You're so on it, Lacey, because I think, each one of us, we've had our own unique suite of initiations in life, right? We've had our train wrecks, we've had our victories, and all of that, in addition to whatever modalities we put in our basket along the way, it's helped us each cultivate a body of wisdom that's native to us, and a series of teachings we might not even be aware of having inside. And that we do a lot of Dharma training as well, where we teach people how to design Dharma talks and do transformational speaking. So each person can really share a metabolized learning story that can ideally reduce the suffering in other people, and also prepave the way for them to have a breakthrough in their breath experience. And we can only do that when we each learn how to sit in presence, like to be in present with all our own parts, so that we're a safe space for other people to come be in presence with all that they may reject or judge or shame or criticize in themselves. And that's really why the whole level 1 part of our training is called the self-love journey, because it's a deep dive to reconcile with everything we may have been at war with in our past, in our mind and others, Because when we become that peace that passeth all understanding, it goes beyond modalities where you become a transmission of presence that invites the aliveness in the field. And you don't even need to say anything. You just come in the field with people, and there's a vibrational updraft that's contagious in the best of ways. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much for sharing, you guys. We've dropped her website, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, free gift. Through her website, you can find the training that she's mentioned. We're just getting all the little 3D things out to you now, because again, I have no idea what state of awareness we'll all be in. And some of you may need to leave. And so we love you. We'll see you tomorrow. But we are I'm going to hand it over to you and allow you to guide us through this experience. I'm really excited.
Thank you so much, Lacey. All right, everybody. Thank you for trusting me to tenderly hold your heart for the next 25 minutes. We're going to go into an experience together, and it isn't a full ceremony. Full ceremony is about 2.5 hours. I'm going to be providing you with just about a 20, 25-minute breath only exploration. To do this in the best way, I highly encourage you to lie down. When you lie down, it takes your prefrontal cortex offline. So your overthinking slows down, the mental chatter dissolves, and that's the state we really want to get you in. So if you're willing to maybe look around your computer, your phone, clear some space. You might also want to get a sarong, or if there's a blanket nearby in case your temperature fluctuates. You may also want to get something to put over your eyes. When we're going to be closing our eyes in this practice, but when you cover your eyes and it's darker, you open yourself to greater visioning capacity. You may also want to have maybe a notebook next to you for your journaling, some water. And if you happen to have a little essential oil and you want to anoint yourself before we begin, please do. You could hold a crystal. Do the things that nourish you, that make you feel safe as we set up. And go ahead and lie down. And what's going to happen is I'm going to be coaching you on the basics of the breath. And then I'm going to put on some music. And then I'm going to be speaking over the music. And while this experience happens, you can tune into the sound of my voice. You can listen to the words, or you can listen to the space between the words. You always get to choose. So as you lie down, I invite you to open up your mouth, stretch your mouth open, and begin taking those deep, circular, connected breaths. We're connecting the inhale to the exhale, and the exhale to the inhale through an open mouth. It sounds like this. And you can continue breathing at that pace, or knowing if you breathe faster, fuller breaths, you'll create a bigger experience. If you breathe slower breaths, you'll have a more subtle experience. You always get to choose. So open your mouth, close your eyes, and begin circular, connected breaths. Connecting the inhale to the exhale and the exhale to the inhale. Feeling your body. Feeling the sensations in your body as you breathe. Feeling the air go over your lips, past your teeth, over your tongue, down your throat, filling your belly all the way, and then letting it all go. And you can make sound on the exhale if that supports you. can move your body. And as you lie here breathing, feel your heart. Breathe into your heart. Deep breaths. Flooding your whole body with the nectar of breath. Opening yourself up to a revelation today. We open ourselves to a revelation of the goodness that surrounds us, to a revelation of the love that we are. To the field that surrounds us and supports us. That's it. Deeper breaths. That's it. Connect the breath. Connect the breath. And it's possible that you're tasting a new possibility for yourself now. See if you can breathe to taste something new. To feel something new. Deeper breaths. All the way. That's it. Just breathing to open your heart now. Opening to the possibility of opening your heart. Maybe there's sensations here. It's so safe to feel. That's it. That's it. Maybe the body wants to open, create more space for the superabundance that wants to flow in. That's it. Sighing on the exhale, letting go of anything you want to release now. Unwinding the spine while you breathe. That's it. Opening up your capacity to feel even more now. That's it. Opening up your capacity to feel even more now. How good it is to be alive. Breathing in how good it is to be alive. Perhaps beginning to pick up the pace. Stretching the arms wide to feel, to sense, to know the truth. What is God's idea as you? Open. Wider. breathing up beyond the membranes of your morphogenetic field, further out into the space around you. Breathing further up all the way to the atmosphere around the earth. Maybe even further to feel this. The possibility of connecting to everything across space and time. Connecting, inhale to exhale, exhale to inhale. Perhaps the body is opening like a pillar of light connecting heaven and earth. Perhaps the breath is expanding deeper and higher and wider at the same time now. Maybe there's sound coming out on the exhale. Open your body. Open your heart. That's it. What is beyond the mind? Who are you beyond your thoughts? Who are you beyond the labels, the definitions, the stories? Who are you behind all the walls your intellect has put up, all the attempts to control outcomes, the agendas of the human? Who is the soul behind the veil? Breathe there. Picking up the pace. Bringing your awareness into the soul, having a human experience now. That's it. Opening, 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 opening the libraries of light. That's it. Opening all of the libraries of light inside every strand of your DNA. Seeing the shimmering. Breathe to grow it brighter now. Breathe to grow it brighter now. Brighter. As you're sliding down the strands of DNA in your own playful dance. Maybe your hips are wiggling or moving or swaying as you slide down these ladders of light. That's it. And we bring in the power of play now. Ooh, beyond the seriousness of the mind, there is only play. There's only light, delight. So quickening the breath now to tap into that feel, the levity, the whimsy, the delight. Maybe there's laughter. Tialaku, talanakaye, tiyo, lananakuye, teya, lananakaye, na, yenaka, woo! Calling your little one out to play. Puya, mananakaya. Mananakaya Leia Chuyala. All yourselves from past, present, future, simultaneous, parallel lifetimes in a dance of life. Breathe to catch a vision. That's it. Can you lighten yourself up with breath? Maybe there's light language coming out in your voice. Iyalaku, heyalanashi, mamamakuna yena yedikia. That's it. Body dancing, cells dancing, light dancing, breath dancing. Yep. Expanding the field within and around you with this bioluminescence. As we climb the mountain of your consciousness even higher now, even further. Tapping into a bigger possibility for this life. Deeper breaths, bigger movements, feeling even more of who you are and why you've come. Shake your body, shake out any limiting beliefs, shake out any playing small, shake out any habitual thought patterns, shake out any excuses. Shake out any self-sabotage. Let it go. That's it. Breathe and feel who you are, who you were born to be. The truth of who you are as a descended master on earth. Every breath expanding the neural pathways and interconnections, expanding up to the mind of God, all the ascended masters, the angels, the teachers, the guides, the councils of light. Breathe. You were born with a great and mighty purpose on this earth. Remember the truth of who you are. Deeper breaths to receive the information now. To own the truth. Breathe. That's it. Breathe into the totality. Breathe. Beyond the mind. Into the eternal presence that is never an absence. Breathe to shed all that is untrue. To emerge from the cocoon of your personality into something greater. Into the almighty I am presence. Breathe there. Into the love that you are. And the love you're here to share. Into your innocence. into your purity. As a crystalline ray of source. Breathe to unlock the codes inside. To unleash the life force energy. To see a vision in your mind's eye of your next steps. What do you see? What do you see? What do you feel? What do you feel in this tender heart of yours? Breathing your mouth wider open to feel the vibrating aliveness, the miracle, the truth that life loves you. Breathe into the miracle of just being alive. To really feel and know the awe and the wonder of this miracle. Now, you were born to love. You were born to be love and to share love. To bring your light to the dark places. Your hope where everyone may have lost faith. Your smile. Your touch. You are the medicine. Breathe into that. There's nothing you have to achieve. There's nowhere you need to get. There's nothing you need to do. Just be you. Breathe to become more of who you were born to be. Breathe to be you. And to know that's enough. You are enough. You're enough. I am. Close your mouth now. Breathe through your nose. Breathing through your nose as you relax and take some time to integrate your experience. Relax. 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 integrating your experience. What did you receive? Stretching the body as you continue to integrate. Stretching the body. Perhaps wrapping your arms around yourself. And slowly opening your eyes and taking in the space around you. Knowing that you'll have all the time in the world to continue integrating. As you notice the shapes and the colors and the space around you. And you begin orienting, maybe even saying what you see, naming the objects to come back to the now moment. And feeling Lacey and I here with you and everyone else in our space, all here with you as you make a slow transition, perhaps if it feels right to you, up to sitting and really taking a moment to metabolize. And if you're inspired to share in the chat box anything at all you experienced or you received, it will help you anchor it in, because breath works like a dream. And when you share your divine messages from the journey, you remember, and you can spark deep remembering in so many others in the space. So I know this is a rapid return to consciousness, and I know you also have the resilience to navigate that as an experienced practitioner. So yeah, just coming on back. Thank you, Lacey.
Thank you so incredibly much. It was a journey, a beautifully curated journey. I just love how you paired the music, and the music brought us along that journey, and the pace of breath got to pick up with the music and then slow down with the music, and your words, your guidance, the frequency in which you embody and you share and speak to the parts of us. You speak directly to the heart, to the soul in a really beautiful way. I felt so held. How do you guys feel, you guys? I know Mike Perlin was the first to say he's speechless, and perhaps many of us are still in that energy. We see my whole body was vibrating so amazing, also speechless, vibrating all over. Oh my God, I can't even spell. Oh my goddess. I went into some wonderful tones.
Beautiful.
Richie says a divine vortex of compassion, love, and grace of the cosmic mother within and everywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, listen to this, Vic. I was vibrating. It was incredible. I feel so deeply connected. And Jessica, wow, she was even listening while she was cooking dinner and still went on the journey. So amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to normalize. I'm reading a lot about the body having many different responses, and it's so normal to experience tingling, vibrating, sometimes even a little numbness as we hyperoxygenate the body. And there's many different perspectives of what that is, but I like to think of it as light streaming in and raising the vibratory frequency, which is part of why we experience that. So it is all safe, it is all good, and all sensations do subside as you slowly come back. Yeah.
And what's so beautiful is we have this on replay, you guys. So you can go back into that when you have more time, more spaciousness, or just as a desire to go into that journey again. Now that for some of you who maybe have never experienced breath of bliss, or haven't experienced that particular breathing through the mouth, maybe the sensations, maybe you found yourself more in the mind. And so going into it again might help your nervous system. You're like, okay, I know what to expect now. Let's do this. I'm ready.
Yeah. And even allowing yourself to tune me out, right? You can just let the brain do what it needs to do to turn off. So you might just be listening to the music. You might be listening to the space between my words. You may be just focusing on the felt sensations. It's an opportunity to surrender the rational understanding of what's happening and to let a higher force take over. Yeah.
I'm curious, did anybody get any clarity Alina here says she got so many downloads about her twin flame and her future daughter.
Wow. That's
Wow.
beautiful.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
She said she barely can type. Her hands don't work yet.
Yeah. And I see lots of emotions surfacing for other people like Paul. And again, it's so safe. I think part of the medicine of this work and facilitating this work is just learning how to create safe spaces to feel our emotions all the way through. And especially after the inside times, I think a lot of us are still unwinding and learning how to co-regulate and how to just normalize all the emotional fields that may be, presenting themselves. So this is beautiful. Yeah. Wow. Beautiful.
What was very clear for me is that I used to have a very regular breathing practice last year. And that was the first time I've laid down to breathe in probably 6 months. And I know. And in the moment I was like, why has it taken me so long to lay that down? Like, that was the clear message that I received, and some more. But the clear message was, this is your medicine, and you've forgotten how much you love this, first of all, and how much your body loves it, how much it's helpful and supportive. So
yeah, I'm so glad I could support you in coming back to the practice. And there's always divine timing, right? So yeah, it's always the perfect time. Someone else had a big share. Amber says, I feel high. My whole body's vibrating. Yeah, she had a lot of going out and coming back, and she entered the black void and she wanted to keep going. And wow. So yeah, that can happen. We can just go so far out beyond the mind. And part of what I love about this is, like, we can come back quite quickly. There's not a big rebound time that we need to budget in our lives to come back to consciousness. Although I do want to mention, for anyone who did have a stronger experience, it's really lovely to take some time to journal and drink lots of water, maybe take a bath or get your feet in the grass or do something to really lavish your senses so you can land fully afterwards. Yeah.
And I can anticipate, and I think you may have said this prior, that this is, it's like, shaking up a bottle or something, or sand, like more can come from this.
Yeah. Once we give our emotional body permission to reveal itself, it's like, yay, I can come out and play. And so a lot more emotions may start revealing themselves. And I think what's important to remember, and this is what we do in the facilitator training and the self-love journey, is just remembering that our emotions are like angels. They're allies. They're here to help us rise into and embody our highest self. And so there's a very specific message from each emotion, and it's a benevolent, loving force that's here to invite us to become more of who we are as beings of love and light. So welcome the emotions when they show up.
Emotions as angels. I really adore that reframe. It's really beautiful. I also am curious because I just remembered there was a moment. Did you guys giggle alongside with Christabel? Did you guys laugh right alongside with her? Because I was just in full blown laughter. My arms were doing this, which I don't know why. This is what happened. So I was laying down. I did lay down. My arms did this, and I was just, just in laughter for a good couple of minutes before like smiling. Like I tried to go back into the breath, but my smile was so big, I couldn't really do it. I was just like, it's too hard to breathe and smile from eye to eye. So there was so much joy and levity in that part, and your light language brought that out. It was really beautiful. You could feel the levity. I could feel my inner child. She's like, ooh, let's play.
Yeah, there's so many species of light language, and that one for me is always so, they're like these little Ewok beings on another planet that like to come through. And I noticed that when they play, so much laughter comes out in the ceremony. And the cool thing about laughter is we don't need to actually have a joke or anything. Like the biochemical response of healing tonics in the brain is the same. And so I love sharing light language and teaching people to do light language so that they can do that for other people.
I'm so tickled at the fact that you said Ewok, because that's what I thought. That's what I was getting. I was like, light language started to come out of me, and I was like, and I thought I sound like an Ewok.
Yeah, they're my Ewok people.
It's amazing. I'm just so tickled by that. I was like, and just in the levity, I was like, that sounds like an Ewok to myself. I wasn't even thinking of you, which is amazing. So I love that. There's obviously a connect, because it's a similar light language that is, and I haven't had a lot come through, but it's a very similar that's come through this like little kind of energy. And so I'm adoring that.
Such a healing, such a healing. There's a question.
There is, I know. If you have questions, please drop them in there.
Was it you conducting that journey, or was someone coming through a channel? Oh, that's such a great question. So the way I guide and the way I train facilitators to lead is to become what I call a high frequency channel. It's not a special ability that only special people are born with. It's a learnable skill of quieting the mind and amplifying somatic awareness and increasing your capacity to track what's happening in a space on visually, with all your senses, taste, smell, all the things, and an ability to step outside of the stream, the mind stream, and open to a higher dialogue, a higher narrative of a journey that wants to come through. And so it's about, while this was actually happening, what's going on for me was although some of you had your videos off, you still had your pictures on. And so I was just tuning in. And even if it was just a background and no image of somebody, I was just tuning in. I was doing a lot of the practices we train our teachers to do, which is just sensing and feeling into the tendrils and the invisible threads of emotion. And there's a part, it's like I kind of step outside of my personality and start feeling and sensing into, what are the emotions that may be arising in this space? What are the thoughts and the dreams, what are the prayers that have been unspoken in this space? So there's a lot of imaginal opening that happens in this practice as a facilitator. And like I said, it's a learnable skill. And I forgot to share a link. I'm hoping I can just drop it in the chat box, because if anyone has many more questions, you can book a free call with me. It's a bliss activation call. And you can learn a lot more about if you're actually interested in becoming a facilitator and, wondering if it's a match. I'm happy to drop in with you one-on-one. But I do want to say, a lot of people put people on pedestals or guru people and think, oh, I need to be this really ascended, advanced person to be able to channel, to be able to hold a transformational space of awakening. And it's actually just not true. You just need to put in the time and practice. Like anything else, it's a muscle you build with practice. So yeah, great question.
That is a really great question, especially because I think when I was messaging with one of your Breath of Bliss angels, she mentioned the word channeling. And again, I got really tickled because the speaker right before you is also a channel and channels the council and works with the council. She also does light language. Again, I cannot pick. The choices were yours, and outside of you guys, because you guys told me what days you were available and it just perfectly aligned. And I'm just so tickled at the perfection of how the conversation, the flow, the energy of what you guys bring. So it's really beautiful.
Wow, it's amazing. And I just want to thank all of you watching, because this is my favorite kind of event to support. I mean, Lacey is putting together so many beautiful presenters and giving so generously of her time and attracting so many open-hearted, soul-led, beings. And so thank you for receiving me here and playing with me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. The gift was truly all ours. So deeply grateful for you. And thank you for bringing this level of intentionality and ceremony to breathing. And I'm really excited for some of you who this practice might be new. Put it in your play box. Put it in your play box. And I feel, and if you feel the call, if you feel, so many of us, we know this, we've been talking about it all week, 2 weeks now, all week long. The time is now. So many of us feel the magnetic pull to serve, to support. We know we're here for something more. And so this is a beautiful invitation. If breath work or if ceremony or if this level of intentionality really excites you and lights you up, not only for self, but as a potentiality of something that you can offer. And of course, today, abundance to generate and circulate new earth abundance into your world. Then, and it sounds like this training and what you've curated is exactly that. It is to support the inner journey, the confidence building so that you can show up in service, but also supporting the service of it getting out into the world, which is incredible.
Absolutely. I mean, in addition to all of the, hundreds of pages of step-by-step manuals and blueprints and training calls and videos and all that stuff, there's something that happens when you start facilitating ceremonies. It's like the synchronicity field comes alive. And I just need to give testimony that by virtue of giving these experiences around the world, so many literal miracles, like so many other invitations, chance encounters, opportunities happen when you create this kind of harmonic convergence on the regular. Like you attract super abundance, again, the theme of your day. So yeah, I'm wishing that for everybody on this call.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it really comes from remembering that you are the source of all abundance, that you are connected in one with the divine, which again, a breath experience that supports you in that remembrance. How amazing, how incredible. Christabel, thank you so, so, so much, darling. It's such an honor, such a pleasure. Thank you for the gift of your beingness and everything that you've got. 1,000 and counting Breath of Bliss angels offering this modality around the world. It's really quite incredible. You've truly built a legacy of your work.
Thank you, sister. And thank you for all of this. And thank you to all of you watching. And I'm just sending blessings from Kauai and all this paradise vibrations of yum and vitality and wellness and radiance. I see some of you are taking it. Yes, take the paradise frequency, bathe yourself in it and go create miracles. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, you guys, that's all we've got for today. I say all as if that wasn't, this day has been pretty profound, has it not? Incredible. So grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. Wishing you a beautiful, beautiful integration. Sleep so sweet. And we'll be back here tomorrow. We'll be back here tomorrow. All right, you guys. Bye. Hearts, Michael. Bye, darlings.
Bye, everybody.